Hi.
Hi, people.
You know why?
How did you do?
The table is still standing.
Yeah.
Your makeup is 600. It's a
Aye.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
I do look forward
today,
to
today we are talking about making the arts a career. What we're going to do before that? We
long
still have, we
term.
have any? Are we doing any of those
Think
niceties?
about activism.
Yes.
I didn't get any feedback, you know.
Okay.
Did I? No, I didn't get
So
any
far.
specific. Or did I? Lord have mercy, I might have.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember. It's so long ago. I will look back though, and for the next episode, I will make sure.
Yeah.
I shared something with you guys this morning. You didn't notice that it was somebody followed my Substack. Somebody, what is he? Some Israeli Jewish something. It to mean whatever it means, but anyway, I'm lucky. As we're talking about activism, hey, anyway, so making the arts a long-term career.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're three good people to talk about that since we've been doing it since we're either with me.
It's. I think when we had started, you know, to think about the topic, I was thinking about like longevity, and I think we spoke about some stuff before. So like we spoke about legacy. Legacy is one way to make sure that you have longevity, mentorship, those kind of things. And we spoke about like estate planning. You know, that's another thing. I'm just thinking about like, especially in the active part of dance where you are choreographing and moving, like what are the things that we do to make sure that we are still capable of expressing what needs to be expressed through the body, you know. I mean, as you get older, I remember doing this piece of, no, I didn't do it. I think I was watching Mrs. Johnson choreograph it, a piece of choreography where she had, that's Dr. DeGrasse Johnson, 3 dancers of 3 different ages and stages. And a part of it, the dance had some text, you know, saying that when you're the younger dancer, you're the younger dance teacher, you say, do as I do. And when you are older, you say, do as I say. And I can't remember, I think the third one might have been like, you have a demonstrator, do as he does, or something like that, right? And I was so young at the time, like I never really, I was like, oh, that's cute. But then really and truly, I very much understand that if we are not careful, very early out, we get into, no, don't do what I do, I can't do it, but you do that. And then no, do as that person, yeah, like how him do, or she do, or them do, you know?
Catch it from them.
Catch it from them. And there's a way in which, maybe, I don't know if it's greedy, but it's like when I choreograph something, I know I like to be able to do it as best as possible, unless it's something I see that I know my body can do, or I need more than one body to do, or whatever. As best as possible, I like to be able to show somebody how I embody it. How do we ensure, the choreographers who are like me, that we can keep doing that way up into the hundreds?
For me,
not abusing your instruments, your body.
Yeah. So for me, making a long-term career out of the arts is that as well, in terms of how the body holds up. But being able to pay your bills, big part of it. You know, career bills, career money, being paid to do the things that you love to do, or things that you are trained to do as a job. So yeah, that's what it's about for me. And having the kinds of benefits that other workers in other fields, in other careers have. Pension, health insurance, holidays. And because, we generally work on holidays. Everybody want a nice event on Labor Day, who perform in the artists. A nice event on Christmas Day or New Year's. Always, yeah. So it's the benefits and the financial, the remuneration, that type of stuff I think of in terms of making a long-term career for the art.
For me, I think it is again, I think for all of us, it's about taking care of yourself and being able to do what you do for as long as you can. But also I mean, even though I'm in more than just music, I can speak to the music part of it. It's realizing thinking about what a career in music can look like, because it can look like so many things, and not all of it looks like Beyonce on stage, and that is the most important thing. Maybe 1% of the people in the what's the word we like to use, the echo
Ecosystem.
in
Mm-hmm.
them are the Beyonces, but there's so many other people who are,
Mm-hmm.
like the house and paying the bills and doing what they need to do, and but they're making music, or they're
Yeah.
supporting shows in particular ways, whether it's backstage, on stage, pre-production, post-production. They're writing the songs. They're doing production. They're doing visual design. They're doing all kinds of stuff, and that is all part of it. And sometimes are doing many of those things. You're not just singing. I'm not just singing. I don't just do one thing. I'm not just singing. I'm creating stuff. I'm backstage. I'm on stage. I'm beside the stage. I'm far away from the stage sometimes,
Mhm.
but it's still all related, and it's still all fulfilling. And so if you can keep doing things that satisfy you artistically and intellectually and solely, um,
Mm-hmm.
and no matter how diverse they are, and still make an impact on people, whether it's spiritually or emotionally or generationally or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then I think for me that is those things are important in terms of being, um, having a long term career.
What if you are one of those artists who is very, very single focused? I mean, because you're speaking to there's a way in which being able to diversify your skill set allows for you to be able to have a long career in the arts. So you
Mhm.
may be arts and in a way kind of arts adjacent sometimes. Some people may
Right.
consider it like that. So if you get into production, and I know a number of my successful like choreography students are excellent lighting technicians and excellent when working television production, and they have morphed into that. Not choreographing as much, unfortunately, because that's not where the money apparently lies out here right now. But it's like some people just come to the one thing. Some people come to just dance. They don't want to choreograph. They don't want to write. They just want to move. What about that person? How does that person ensure longevity and long term? Because people do have this myth, and I spoke about this earlier with Mikey Holgate at I think a talk that I gave recently about this myth that your dance life ends like I don't know at 30 something, you know
35.
35. So when you are 36, you need to be having a cane, which some people do because of hip injuries and stuff, and just get yourself off of that stage, and nobody want to see your body start to wrinkle, that sort of thing, right? And so what do we say to the person whose sole interest and greatest ability is when they're on stage performing physically for somebody else?
One of the one of
Yeah.
the buzzwords that upset me, that pissed me off, is that for the youth, for the this, and for the that for me, everything is kind of centered around that, and for me, it really annoyed me because as you're saying it, this is exactly why it is because I feel that anybody of any age, as long as you're breathing, you have a contribution to make, and you have an impact to make. And for me, I don't need to only see young dancers on stage. I would love to see someone who's 80 on stage dancing and dancing. They need to dance at their age because it means something. It's a window that you don't get to see very often. It's a snapshot of somebody's life or somebody's career, of somebody's output, um,
Journey.
of their journey, and I think it's all worthwhile seeing. And I don't know if there's. I mean, if I could change people's minds like this, um,
Yes.
you know, I would do that with everybody and have them appreciate everybody, no matter the age and no matter the ability or the disability or the different
Mhm.
ability,
Mm.
because all of them are worthwhile seeing on stage
Yeah.
or film, and they mean different things and they say different things, and everybody has a different story to tell.
Different careers in the arts have greater longevity than others. So if you're behind the scenes, behind the camera, you can go on forever, it seems. You know, as a director, even if that's the only thing that you go on forever until they put you in the grave. Um, Writer, you keep writing as long as there's mental acuity. Um, Even with the performing arts, then you have like the actors can go on for a pretty long time, except that
especially the
people,
men.
yeah, especially the men, you know, but the women they say, oh, you're not the gorgeous 16 to 20 something anymore. We want younger people. But at least if you're really good, you're a Meryl Streep or you're you know, you still
Angela
have a
Bassett,
career.
yeah.
You have Violet Davis, you have, you know, Viola Davis. And then you have the singers. If you're a really good singer, even if your voice is shaking a little bit more, as far as as I know, I think Johnny Mathis still performs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's or something.
Wow.
Yeah,
But
The
I
and
just
Rolling
started
Stones
then
still perform too.
then we
well.
get to dance, and for dancers, it's like we just don't want to see the dance. Is it that we just don't want to see the dancers, or dance is an ungrateful art form that, you know, because the bones and
You
the
know,
aches and the muscles and the stuff like
I
that.
I don't even like the rhetoric of it being ungrateful. It's
Hmm.
what dance is. Dance is a very clear picture of where you are right now. With
Hmm.
dance, you can't fake things the way that you might be able to fake it maybe in some other ways, in some other professions, in some other aspects of the arts.
It tells you
Kind
where
of
your body is.
yeah, it's just like singing. If you miss a note in the scale, I guess you could also tune it up. But if you're doing it live, people going
Mm.
here,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? If you don't catch it right, how people going here. The same thing with dance. The first person to know it is you.
Hmm.
I think what it does for us as well, it does for the person who is looking at us, because there's that catharsis thing. So they're living their ideas about um, youth and joy and agility and possibility and hope and athleticism through what they're seeing.
Hmm.
And when that is not reflecting, where you want it to reflect, so you can feel good about something, then maybe you
Hmm.
don't want to see it anymore. Not
But
understand that there is value in the aging story. There is value
there's
in
something
the experience that the mature dancer brings.
there's something that the maturity has. I mean, there's even as a singer,
Mm,
there's frequencies and different things that come out from the mature voice that are not going to come out from a youthful voice. I don't know if any of you watched the Grammy Awards this year, and Joni Mitchell, there was a thing, and Joni Mitchell sang her Both Sides Now. I love the
mhm,
love from both sides now, but Joni Mitchell, she couldn't even. She was in a chair, and every crack and creak of that voice
Mm.
and it was nice and deep, and people were bawling. It was the best thing on that
Mm.
and Tracy Chapman were the best thing on the
yes, I
show.
saw that.
The
Yeah.
very best thing, and she was in a low, deep, gravelly bass voice,
Hmm.
and
As soon as this podcast is over, I'm gonna go look for it.
every little off, slightly off thing was beautiful
Mhm,
because
Hmm.
mhm.
that's who she is and that's where she is now, and that's what was coming out of her. And she has all these stories, and every single story she had to tell was coming through that one song.
Hmm.
Mhm. I
But
think
you that.
there's a way in which we have, I think, particularly in dance, been lazy in this country. I'm going to start this one. We've been lazy. We have received an idea about the way things are supposed to be, and we've continued along that line, whether it is with training or with the kinds of work that we create. Not all of us, but as an ecosystem, a lot of it has been a maintenance of something that we have received, right? And I don't think we've done enough also in terms of really engineering an audience and creating a new kind of audience for the kind of work that needs to be made.
Hmm.
So we follow models, and then when we go on television with it, we're just using the same kind of model that somebody else uses from abroad.
Template.
Um, Same template. A lot of us are just following the kinds of things that were done when Jamaica just became independent in terms of the kinds of choreography that we think are the peak. And
Hmm.
then also I find, especially when I go to the theater to watch dances, a lot of the heads that I look down on are gray because I like to sit up on the top. There has not been a revivifying of audience. There has not been a reaching out into community so that audience can be built and people can be able to see themselves. Because think about it, in our traditional spaces, a lot of the elders are the ones who are dancing, and they're dancing for the entire night, and they themselves are revivified by spirit. And seeing them is like is an amazing thing. So why can't we also be blessed with them in other kinds of spaces? I think we need to really do more. I said that for myself because I know I'm gonna still be on the stage and still be performing. But how many people my age are interested in that anymore?
And the COVID never did us any favors either.
The what did?
COVID never did us any favors either. COVID cut a lot of things out of the system. For 2 whole years, people could not go and sit to watch theater. And it was already a dying art form.
It was already dwindling in terms of the audience.
So people are saying, okay, they found other ways of enjoying the arts, so to speak. And so, and so we just have to, as you said, find ways of revivifying, find ways of reigniting passion. Because there's nothing like sitting in a theater and watching a live. There's not like it. But if you're not exposed to it, you won't.
You wouldn't know. You wouldn't know. And then also in terms of what people expect to see, like I do it, but that's just me as a choreographer. I can't tell anybody else because everybody has their own dream as to how they want their imaginings to be embodied, right? But I put all bodies are on the stage that can dance. I don't care what they look like. I don't care color. I don't care size. I don't care how many foot. If you can do the thing, I don't care gender. I don't care. I don't care age. Except that I would cast older, but I don't have a cadre of older dancers who would put themselves out there, because also they have been inculcated into this idea that okay, so I can't do this and I can't do that like how I used to do it, and people are gonna, and so they wouldn't want to be seen. There is a company, I think Nisha mentioned it, there's a company from Sadler's Wells. Oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of them. It's a whole set of gray-headed people who used to dance from when they were younger, and they continue dancing. And it's one bag of excitement, leaping and rolling and jumping and whatever. And there's something also about having a community to do that with. But you're just a little one dancer who think you want to go on stage and your head is gray. Unless they have a name like a Barbara Record where people would come to see you. Who you think you are? So I know I commit to, in my work, allowing for age to be represented and maturity to be represented, just like childhood can be represented and anything else, But I would love to see that kind of longevity be not just, I guess, shown once or twice, but become a part of the fabric of the dance space. You know what I mean? Carl, what's his name? I can't remember. He's a Jamaican who, Carl Campbell, I think his name is. Yes, in the UK. He had a group of people called Recycled Teenagers that he used to work with in the community, right? And they would put on shows and that sort of thing. Where are our classes or training spaces for those who are old, or performance spaces for those who are old and who want to be able to share through performance? Where are those things?
I mean, it might not happen so much in dance, but I see it happen in like community orchestra stuff and in bands. I remember when I was taking viola with Stephen Woodham, and he'd have the orchestra, and there'd be these parents and grandparents and other people who'd come in who I used to play viola, and they're in the viola section or the whatever, and it's giving them a chance to remember, find their fingers, as we say, and to be a part of an ensemble again. Same thing with the community orchestra at Edna, and now the one at Alpha. There's all these people who are not necessarily affiliated with the school, but they're playing an instrument and they're around, and there's this opportunity to get together, have some community, be able to make some music, that kind of thing. But to change it too quickly from the age thing, but I think another important thing that I don't think we should finish the podcast. I know we just started. That we should finish the podcast without saying it's the importance of doing good work.
Mm.
In terms of making a career, taking the time and the care to do good work. And Michael, I know Michael, one of Michael's mentors, Michael Morrissey, used to tell him, create a body of work. And that's a part of it. That's doing good work. Everything, every little thing that you do, even if you think nobody's going to see it, do good
Make
work.
it good.
Mm-hmm.
Make it good. Make it good. Make it last. Good work will last. Good songs last.
Yeah.
Good theater, good plays last. Good choreography last. Good
Mm.
movies last. Good books last. Good work. Don't just try and do what everybody else is doing. Do what is coming from your soul or what you need to express, and do it
Mm.
well. Good work. Don't slapdash it and don't go, oh, I don't have no, I don't have this and I don't have that. That's beside the point. You have what
Mm-hmm.
you have, and you can use what you have to do good work. You don't have to have all the other things, opportunities that people in the US have or people in wherever else have. If you have, it's a bamboo stick you have, and you have some dirty water, you can draw.
Mm.
I mean, you can draw well, but so
Yeah, the
Or
spaces, the spaces that you inhabit matter. Those are the spaces that they're spaces that help you to refine your craft, that makes your craft viable as a career, and and gives you an opportunity to do good work. But first, you have to know what is good work. A lot of people are just so unexposed to stuff, and I think some of the little thing them I do is the best that can be done, and so exposure is extremely important in that whole thing of doing good work and how it extends to making a career. Because in this day and age, a career in the arts has to extend beyond um just the little spaces that you are in. It even has to extend beyond Jamaica.
of course.
If you want to be make a career as an artist in this day and age, your work has to translate. It really has to go beyond Jamaica. It has to be something that you know um people can see, because really and truly and Neila, you mentioned it earlier, the audience. If there's no audience for what it is that you have to do, then you're fenugreek.
Screaming, yeah, screaming into the
And
void.
it's the building of audiences that matter. And there are 8 billion people on the planet, they say. And so your audience can come from anywhere. Even if the
Anywhere
audience at home
is not
does not
seen. Yeah.
see what you see, or
Yeah.
does not see what you do as this awesome thing, there is somebody somewhere who will look at that and say, my God, look at what they're doing in Jamaica. If you do it well with a certain type of commitment, a certain type of passion, and a certain type of commitment to training and developing what it is that you have into something worth seeing, something with a certain type of artistic rigor, call it that, that kind of thing that makes it substance. Yeah.
something that Michael, you just said, Michael, made me think of three things, and maybe we're not gonna, maybe we won't, address all of them, but maybe we will. So the three things that it made me think of, one of them is the Dunning-Kruger effect, which, as we know, is when somebody who has actually no skill or expertise in this thing is convinced that they are the expert, and that in itself creates problems. The other thing is imposter syndrome, which is one of those things that can stop us from doing what we need to do. And the other thing is the perfectionism, the danger of being a perfectionist. So maybe we can address, I don't know, I'm throwing them out.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go.
Yeah.
One of the things that I use, I guess, to combat imposter syndrome. It used to be really bad. It's not as bad now. It comes and goes based upon what the challenges that I'm trying to overcome in terms of the artistic thing. But it's preparing myself for the tools, which kind of goes along with what Michael Holgate was speaking about in terms of training and development. I remember, because not every artistic challenge that you have can be solved by inspiration, especially if you're doing something as a career, especially if you're doing something not as a hobby, you're getting paid for something. Somebody has given you a piece of very uninspiring music or a very uninspiring concept, right? How do you know? Right, it happens all the time.
You
How
need
do
tools and
you turn that
techniques.
around? You
Yeah.
use the tools. You
Yeah.
use the tools and techniques, and then the tools help to generate the inspiration that's not actually there. in the first stimulus that you get. We don't really learn how to do that. There are few people who know how to do that instinctively. Let's call it the reincarnated, maybe, I don't know. But many people, you have to either trial and error, or you go and you learn these tools, you learn these ways of manipulating movement and getting more movement and generating interest in it for your own self, and preparing yourself. Like for me, preparing myself for many eventualities through training has helped me to kind of mitigate that imposter syndrome that may come up, when somebody has asked me to do something I think is too much for me, or I want to do something that I think is too much for me. So to address the idea of the imposter syndrome situation.
The imposters, I mean, I have it. I guess like you, it's become less and less. It still happens, but I think I can recognize it for what it is now. I'm more quick than I used to, and I can talk myself out of it, which is a useful technique, a useful thing to be able to talk myself out of it and just and go through and just go, okay, yeah, I might feel this way, but I mean, I'm here, I'm in it, and I'm going to do it. So whatever,
The imposter syndrome is the one that is the most taxing, I think, to artists. And it's interesting how many good artists seem to have it. Some people who you'd never believe they have it. I mean, it's like, and they say, "Oh my God, I just feel like, people are gonna question why am I the person to do." I'm just like looking at them, just like everybody is looking at you to do exactly this because you are the person. And I know from my own personal experience, myself, I go through that. Sometimes when people say, "Michael, who else was gonna do such and such?" And I was like,
nobody else. There's nobody else.
I didn't think about it that way, and I didn't think people were looking at me in that way. And I guess it's a thing that comes through conditioning. We have been conditioned to the humble pie thing, to kind of be more humble, and we have been conditioned to compare ourselves to others, and to find ourselves wanting, and to find others having, even when the metrics are not the same metrics everybody else is using. The metrics that we have been told to use to validate ourselves are so inconsistently out of our favor, in the favor of other spaces that do not show or that do not empower us. And so we have to be fighting imposter syndrome every day. And if I fight, then want to fight, we have to go fight it, because it is so important. Because it is when people who have that kind of syndrome overcome it on a daily basis that we get really good art. Overcome it to deliver something that they had to struggle with to say, no, I'm going to create this anyway, in spite of how my own inner systems, which reflect the systems that have been taught, which reflect the social spaces that have helped to create these systems that no longer serve me. When I can fight these things and come up with something, that's when art is going to be blossoming in me and around me. So we have to fight the good fight and fight the imposter syndrome and deliver art that the world wants to see, because we make the world want to see it,
Yeah, and that imposter syndrome is kind of like the flip side of the coin of that Dunning-Kruger.
Yeah.
Because you have those people. I mean, she probably doesn't listen to the podcast, Amari. But anyway, when you think, I know you love Amari, but
I soon tell you why.
She needs therapy. But anyway, so the people who in their minds they're the expert.
Right.
I'm the guru. I'm the expert in this, but they don't know a fraction of what you know, Michael. On that same topic, but you, because you have this imposter syndrome, you're like, I don't know enough. I don't know enough about this, but you actually know more than half of a particular thing, and so you don't push ahead, and you don't. But this person's gonna be in the room with all those people talking the talk, even though there's nothing to back it up, right? But so many people are drawn to that, and they buy into it, and then you see the result.
You see what the imposter syndrome does, is that it robs you of that action, taking action. It makes you not want to take action. And what that Dunning-Kruger effect does is that it gives you the courage to take action in spite of the fact that you don't seem to have all of what you need.
Right.
This courage make you think that you have it all. So I think that the people who have imposter syndrome just need a little bit more of that kind of courage to, take it from the people then if you have to. Or the Dunning-Kruger thing there, but because a lot of those with the imposter syndrome, they're just so talented, so smart, so good at what they do, and they just do not know it.
Yeah, and then tied into that is that perfectionism thing.
Yes,
And
exactly.
That's it's not right yet. It's not quite ready. Blah, blah, blah. One of the ways that I tried, I don't know if I'm successful at it yet. One of the ways that I tried to break myself out of that was a few years ago when I started to, let me just sing a song a day and post it on.
Yes, I remember.
And with the mistake and all, with everything wasn't right. Let me just post it the same way. And so that helped. And but even to this day, I have something said, boy, I should have posted this from 2 months ago. But I don't know. I signed the wrong note here, or this thing wasn't quite right. And then I'll stall, and then 2 weeks later I say, I don't care, and I post it. And I say, mistakes and all, blah blah blah, and I post it. But the thing is, who cares? Who cares? Who cares if you make a mistake? I mean, you're probably your biggest critic. Who cares? Make the mistake. Make the mistake, and the next thing you don't make the mistake, you make a different mistake. It's fine. Make the mistake.
Two things got me out of my that perfectionism thing, and it's one that you mentioned earlier before, which is what my mentor said, that create a body of work. Create a body of work, Michael. Stop trying to. Everything doesn't have to be the ideal, perfect thing right now. This thing that you're doing right now will be a part of your body of work, and if it's not the most perfect thing, it's just one thing. Move on to the next one, make it better than that one, and you'll find that over a period of time, as you start to look at your body of work, as opposed to thinking that this one piece of thing that I'm doing now is the end all and be all, you have so much more freedom around doing the work. You don't feel like your entire life is going to be destroyed if this is not the greatest thing that anyone has done in their life. So that's one thing. And the second thing about perfectionism is have good people around you who you trust, who can say, this is good enough for right now. This is good enough for right now. It's not, Michael, it might not be the best thing that you have done, but this is good enough for right now. Let it go, let it out. So you are free up yourself to do something else. Body of work again. And unchangeable timelines or lifelines help you to create. Because if it have to go by October 22, October 21, say that must be the dress rehearsal time. October 20, that's a rehearsal. And so you have these things and then your brain now, your creative brain, your creative intellect and your creative imagination start doing some machinations to ensure that you have the deadline is coming up and you start to do something, some creative things, and you say, all right, maybe we'll cut this. You're forced to cut, you're forced to edit, you're forced to do all of those things because you have an unchangeable deadline, So those things help me when it comes to perfectionism, which is not really a good thing. Perfectionism is really a deep, deep, deep insecurity and unwillingness to let go.
I had an ex who used to say that them sign themselves up before them wind themselves up. So they would, particularly if it's something that they're afraid to do, they'd sign up to do it.
Yeah.
Before and then just make sure that they keep themselves there, as again trying to wind up the courage to do it in the first place. Just sign it up. Just say we're going to make it for this date. That doesn't work for everybody though. Sometimes that makes some people like shy away from doing the thing. But the body of work, what I like about creating and thinking of your living as an artist as creating a body of work is it allows you to put yourself in a context. It allows you to realize you're not just this moment where you might feel like you're failing at making this one thing. This one thing is like a part of a continuum of something that you've always been investigating. It's just a different part of the prism. And then, if you think about it that way, it softens the entry into the making process for you. You're just examining another part, another aspect of the thing. It might be more successful or maybe less successful now in 2020, but if you revisited it in 2025, You realize you gave yourself almost like you gave your future self a template or some research already to start working on something for 2025 from in 2020. So it wasn't necessarily a finished work, but you presented. Okay, I'm talking about my own life. You presented it in 2020. You never love it. Put it down. It's a part of your body of work. You can bring that back up again because it's yours. Look at it again. Adjust it in another way because it's yours to work with and play with. You know, nothing is disposable in the thing that we make, and that is why I think it is quite possible to make it, to think of it, because it's a mind game, as a long-term career too, right? It's harder in dance because dance is ethereal by and large, and you blink, you miss it, and every time you do it, it's new. You may have new dancers, new whatever, and the best mode of transmission is an in-person real-time one that you only get once, so there's a certain kind of something that lends itself to disposability within it. You have to really work on making it fixing it into some kind of document, or having it embodied in a certain kind of way, so it's written in other, encoded in other people's bodies to be done and again and again. It's harder for some people to really see the body of work idea, because the bodies of work only exist in bodies in real time, not like paintings, or maybe in older archive recordings, which means then they're not live in for you. Whereas you see the painting was made 50 years ago, but it's live in front of you. Whereas that was like, oh, that happened 15 years ago, so that's not really relevant anymore. So we also have to change our minds about our bodies of work in the moving arts, and understand that they have a different medium. And I mean, that medium does lend itself to being ethereal, but being ethereal doesn't mean disposable.
Even I became aware more recently that many of my students and people who I'm working with now have never seen one of my productions.
Really, that's true. And they cycle out.
Yeah.
You see what such people did say to such people, how something happened to
Yeah.
them. The cycle out, and we keep forgetting, because we are the ones who are holding all the memory inside of us.
Yeah.
We are the linchpins, but other people who we have taught haven't seen. Many students haven't seen me dance.
Exactly.
The last set of students who would have seen me dance, like proper dance, I think, would have been students in 2019. And that was like one piece as well. I never really give it to them. That was 2019 at a conference.
Yeah. So and what that means then is that they are their reference for what you give to them and what you say to them is only what you're giving to them and what you're saying to them.
Exactly. They don't have that other part, the third part. No,
they don't have that bandwidth to kind of say, wow, if he can do that with that, then I need to listen to this because it's gonna take me here and there, and I need to do what is being said here, because then that's gonna make me look like that which I saw.
Exactly.
So they don't have that reference, and so I'm just like, it is, these things, it are. So body of work are not, unless it's film.
And even so, that's why we do have to work on our relevance. I mean, I need to tell my knees and my back that, because they're having a little struggle with me. No, my body's good. My body's good. But it's actually more about finding the time to train, because my schedule will be eclectic, and I can imagine many dancers who are not dancing in a company. That's one of the things about the company. The company can help to organize you, or organize your time, organize your training, so that stuff is taken care of, so you're always on top. Because we have people in our age groups who are dancing with companies to this day, because the companies help to structure that. When you're working independently, it's more difficult, especially if you want to keep performing as part of your long-term career. But if you do, then it's necessary to really craft that kind of schedule around it. But it's a big part of the mind game is knowing that it's worth it. It's knowing that you're not an imposter. It's knowing that you have something else to give in the fullness of yourself. It's knowing that you are your body of work. Because if we don't have that taken care of first, none of the physical things that we can do or say that we're doing to have this long-term career will work, because we're not believing in the viability of it in the long, our health in the long term. You know.
I have a question.
Yes.
I was with the question then. Okay, so do you experience burnout? I mean, I have the answer for me. Do you experience burnout? And if you do, what do you do to move through it, to get over it, to recover from it? What are the ways that you find to bring yourself out of that feeling or that state?
Today, interesting that you should ask that question. Today is the first day that I can ever remember creating and doing a show, and then the day after that show, I just stay home and relax and rest and do nothing. Today's the first day that I can remember doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they call it burnout, but I did
That's just
not.
that's just. I think for me, that's just natural recovery. That's
Mm-hmm.
a natural recovery time.
Yeah,
I know for
yeah.
me, I mean, there's that recovery time thing because there's so much building up to the show, um,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes if it's it's fine if it's one performance you've done it, and then
Mm-hmm.
sometimes there's build up to the show and it's 15 performances or it's 2 years of performance and you don't have the time
Mm-hmm.
to burn out. You have to find little times to do the recovery. But
Exactly.
I know for some things that I do, and it's not always performing things. It's probably other things like the social media stuff,
Administrative.
administrative things, the Reggae online things where I'm writing and
Yeah.
creating these things. That after all this output, because you have to do all the output over and 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 over for
Mm-hmm.
months, and then after
Mm-hmm.
5 months gone, and you're just going. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
anymore. I have to stop. I have to stop.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Especially because we are doing, because we do what we love and we love what we do,
mhm,
and because the things that we do are so enlivening to spirit, and you
Mm-hmm.
know we tend to think that we don't, well, I used to think that we don't need no break, because
No,
this
you
is,
have to break.
you enjoy, and you go to a hotel and you perform, and then you enjoy yourself, but it's work. It's
it's work.
work, and your body knows that it's work, and your brain knows that it's work. So anytime you tell yourself it's not work, or you're not taking a rest over a long period of time, you're tricking
Mm-hmm.
yourself. But you can't fool the body,
Hmm.
Yeah. You
the
have to
mind.
yeah, you have to program your rest into your work. I think, yeah, it's so funny. I was talking to a visual artist friend of mine the other day. Actually, it might have been yesterday. Hmm. And, he is on this thing about, productivity and maybe comparing himself to other artists and other people in terms of their ability to just produce and be productive and get all this stuff done. And I was just like, so where does that come from for you? And I gave the example of when Usain Bolt said, I know I'm a sprinter. No, I'm not going to do a marathon. No, I don't do laps. I did 800, but
Hmm.
sprinter is what I am. Meaning, knowing that you're an artist, no, makes you understand what your productivity cycle is supposed to look like. And especially, I don't know particular for visual arts, since I'm not a visual artist, but like for something like dance, there is a lot of time spent that doesn't look productive. That's productive. There's a lot of percolating time with an idea. People think it's procrastination. No, you're percolating over an idea. You're writing down things. You're gathering information. And when
Hmm.
it comes time now to do the making, it's really intense energy, very, very intense energy. You must, after that, calm down. You have
Hmm.
to rest. You have to get to lie fallow for a while. However long the while is, it's dependent on the
Yeah.
person. But the
Right.
Yeah.
lying fallow is really, really important, so that the ground, the soil of you gets a chance to regenerate. And
Hmm.
then when the seed does drop again, you can actually start back the cycle again. But many people are not living, and even in the arts, we're not living in a circular way. We're trying to live in this sort of linear way, that we've learned from this idea of economy and industry as against ecosystem. The
Yeah.
circularity is really, really important. One of the
Hmm.
ways to ensure longevity is that you know when the rest time in your cycle is, and you know when the productivity time in the cycle is. And I'm going to
Hmm.
go a little further. It's interesting. I feel like people who bleed, female bodied persons and persons who bleed, if we tune in, have a different understanding of cycling through energy where your energy is at a certain point in time. Because best believe, when you are bleeding, you can try and take as much painkiller and so on, so on, so forth. You have to pause. You have to. You have to. You have to just pause a second, or else you're gonna fall down. And then after all of that has happened, there is a revivifying of you, so you are able to move back again into working, right? Everybody has a cycle, though. Ours is manifest in a physical kind of way, but a lot of times, if you don't have the physical reminder, you don't know that you have a cycle. And then because if you're an artist trying to work in a as a square peg, okay, maybe like a round peg, trying to fit into this square world that tells you must just keep producing, go, 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 go. You don't have the right kind of, it's not even just mentorship, maybe just example of how it is to make, show, rest, ideate, generate, make, show. That's what it is. It's iterative like that. So we're trying to use the wrong kinds of models to judge our own success and our own viability in terms of the long term.
Absolutely.
Plug in that rest time, plug in that lying fallow time.
Well, I did plug it in today and it worked for me.
You
I was
understand?
sitting here, trust me. I sleep so much. I say, oh my God.
You needed it. And sometimes it's a shorter time. Sometimes it's the breakfast that you take with your brethren, Mike's. Sometimes it's those small times of rest are also important. Sometimes it's moving from your desk to go and talk to somebody at the other desk if you're doing a different kind of day job. That is a rest moment in your productivity. You can't just sit down in front of where you do for the whole time until your eye them cross. We work differently. And I do think, I dare say this again, the rest of the world who don't consider themselves artists can learn a lot from artists in terms of a cycle of productivity that makes you have longevity. You're going to burn out if all you're doing is all the time. But we instinctively understand the rest moment and the push moment.
And after a while, you can't replenish certain things when it reach a certain level.
When it's done.
We're more like farm crops, more like crops than anything else.
That's what I'm saying. We're plants. We bloom. We are, yeah.
Because my body used to tell me, like when I used to do those Red Bone shows and the Amateur Revolution, because it's a lot of work to build up, and sometimes it's one show, which that in itself feels like it's not fair to do all this work to do one show, right? And then you build up all this energy and everything you're doing, and then the show happens, and then the next day it's either sadness or depression or your body won't move or all kinds of things that happen after. And so there is a cycle that's happening. Whether it's an emotional cycle or energy cycle or whatever, there's some kind of a cycle happening, and you have to respect your emotions, respect your mental state, and respect your physical body as well. The instrument, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
artist you are, the primary instrument is you. No matter what kind of artist you are, the primary instrument is you. Whether it's your body or your mind or it's your mental acuity, whatever it is.
And I think what we need to do also, and maybe that's why the rest and reflection within that cycle is important, because we need to be able to see ourselves in the future. Like, I don't remember who said it. There are Black people in the future. Like, yeah, we take it for granted, but you really need to know that there are Black people in the future, because there have been many attempts that continue to today to exterminate Blackness or any coloredness or being of color from the future of the world, right? So we know that. But you sometimes have to actually deliberately say there are artists in the future. Wait a minute, I am the artist in the future. How am I going to prepare for myself in the future from now? So as we talked about pension, put on little money, do those kinds of things, because I think a lot of times too, we don't believe in the longevity of the thing in and of itself, and we don't believe in our own selves. So we don't project our future needs. We're not spending enough time in rest and reflection, because we're always on the go. And then those things catch up with us when you do end up living in the future and are unable to continue the career. You know what I mean? So I think it's all kind of, for me anyway, it's all weaving together in terms of the kind of mind game that has to be won within yourself in order to be able to mind game, and certain kinds of also patterns and systems of working that allow you to be able to see yourself and imagine yourself in the future, prepare for that.
I have another set of questions.
Oh, I love it.
They keep coming. So as we're talking about the farming and stuff, in those cycles as well, once you harvest, sometimes you're not going to use everything you harvest at the same time. So do you guys have a bank or a storehouse or a receptacle or a folder or whatever of ideas, of fragments of ideas that come sometimes in these times? It's not the complete idea, but you're still being creative. You have these fragments that you put down and you draw on from time to time.
Always. I am
absolutely.
I'm a generator. Okay. I've realized, particularly, I generate very easily. Maybe it's an improv thing. I can look at something and see a million possibilities, and I can articulate them. Like, I'm really good at generating. Carrying it through into execution becomes difficult because I have so many good possibilities. I don't know which one to start with first, right? That kind of thing. I tried to create a system where I would record it with the most immediate thing that I have, which is usually my phone. And then I have to get into my hands. I can't just do everything digitally. So then I have to map it out now with my hand and draw thought maps and all this kind of stuff and flesh it out some more. Then I go right back digital again and I put it in this table that helps me to sort it out in ways that would be good for like funding or whatever. That's the fear of it, right? Because you have to have time to do this too. So that if funding comes up that is related to one of the ideas that I have, I can pull on it quickly and then see how to flesh it out to be able to do that. Or just in terms of organizing how the fleshing out can happen. But I have a system that toggles between digital and whatever is most immediate, which used to be a notebook, but now it's digital. And then fleshing out in these scrapbooks. I use like these, I should have bring one and show you. These regular scrapbooks I use at school, the plain paper, because I need big paper that I can turn any direction and writing and drawing and stuff and paste things in. I'm very tactile like that. And then now I can take the idea back onto the digital for other things. But I'm generating all the time. I have so much in escrow. So much.
Yeah, for me, it's this. I mean, I think you can see my dirty phone right now. So you see all of these notes. These are notes, And so I just keep adding notes. And then when it reaches a certain, I don't even know when it reaches a certain point. It's just that an idea comes for something specific that I need to do now, or a job comes for something that I need to do now, and I say, I have a note about that.
Yes.
For it. And then that becomes now the food or the substance of the idea that just came or the job that just came.
Yeah.
It's like how I created Garvey the musical is because I was working on another production, and then I wanted to include Garvey, and then so I started jotting down stuff. So I had that there. And it's just like now an idea came to me, and I need to do a production about Shaki, Nani, and Kojo as a royal family, and and so that has come to me, and so I started jotting already. And sometimes I talk to people, and most recently I was talking to Amina Blackwood Meeks, and she said, "But Michael said Chief Taki," and she started me. I said, "I need to interview you, but I've already seen information." So all of this is just that's the repository, that's the space that the phone is the space where I keep that information, but also just I think they help the relationships with people who are of a certain ilk. That is also the space that I know I can go interview them. We can go interview Amina Blackwood Meeks. I can go interview
Living Archives.
Rupert Lewis. I can go interview Stephen Golding. And so these people, very Shepherd, have information that I can access when I have a project that would need their kind of intervention or support.
Gotcha.
I have, and now that I've asked you that question, I'm thinking about it. It's a little concerning because I have several folders that have either fragments from BlackBerry days, audio fragments, little video fragments, um, ideas written out like a Word document. Own has a lot of them as well. A melody here, some lyrics there, whatever. Even sequences like a logic sequence or Ableton sequence of of this arrangement that I heard for the chorus, and I have the drums, and I have the bass, and I have the whatever in it. So now I'm a little concerned because they're all over the place. But I like the idea you have, Neila, and it'd be nice to have a document, but that's a daunting task to
It is.
start to archive and categorize those
It's
and
very
having one
important.
that can
Yeah.
just draw on them,
Yeah.
which is probably be a smart thing to do. But that's a big job
It's
because
it's
it's
important
about
though.
30 years worth of things.
Do you ever worry, because we see we all are very effusive with the ideas, right? Do you
Yeah.
ever worry that you will leave this plane and they won't get done?
Sometimes, but if I don't, that means somebody else will catch the idea. It's not. I mean, the idea is not going to
Yeah,
belong to us alone.
I
Yeah.
know that all the big ideas, the novels, the books, the self development books, the stories, the films. I know that all of the things that I want to do cannot be done in one lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm mentally putting it in a memory bank for Michael Holgate's reincarnation.
Okay.
But I really hopefully that one will do it by 9, like
Yeah.
9 or 10. So I'm not troubled or perturbed by my inability to accomplish all of the things that come to me. I accomplish the things that I can know and don't stress about it. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm learning because I get nervous because each of them is so beautiful. They're like children. I'm like, okay, but I want to see this one group, and I want to see that one group, and I want to see that one group. But then sometimes the good thing is, because I have stuff for like over decades now that have been transferred from phone to phone and thing.
Right.
Sometimes you realize, when you can realize a decade old idea, that's beautiful. And then sometimes some ideas cancel themselves out. So in the moment you think it's really excellent, but with hindsight and a little bit more information and a couple more years of maturity, you realize, yeah, that wasn't a complete idea anyway. It's good to allow it to kind of brew and marinate. But I do, especially with the ones that have, some of them have a little bit more weight than others, some come from a deeper place. I really want to see those done, and I keep wondering, so why not just do them? But then I need to sleep, because if I do them honestly, it is going to be no sleeping and resting in that productivity cycle, because I'm going to want to just push them out.
And
I
things get done in good time,
Yeah.
I find that things get done in good time. It just comes down to whether or not we're talking about long-term careers. I mean, as time goes by, you realize that some of those major issues that need to be dealt with have not been dealt with. And all you're doing is collecting more information and finding better and better ways of solidifying it so that when you say it, it's not dismissible. It's not something that bypass, because when you say it, there's so much gravitas, there's so much rigor, there's so much support, and it's at the right time. The whole thing that Victor Hugo said, there's nothing more powerful than an idea whose time has come. And it's not just that the idea's time has come, but you're in the time that it must be revealed. You just go and work on the project then. Just go on up on the projects, and if you're working well, you will never be short of things to do that keep sustaining your energy. Because every little thing that you do out there, that's how I see it. Every little thing that I do out there is just further training me and developing me and giving me capacity to deliver on the main projects that are there for my life. So this job that I do out there might not be the best thing that I've ever done in my life, but
it's yeah, it has a purpose in
a way that I never usually did. I don't usually love working with children, but something happened this time, and I said, "Oh, I can work with children." And there's this person who I want to work with again. So all of those things help to develop and build and help to support your capacity for a future time as an artist.
I just wanted to say, the artist who says there are Black people in the future. He has a song actually, Lavender Freddy at Lavender Freddy on Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
he's
right.
a performance artist, but
Yeah.
yeah, just remember, and particularly I found him around the time of George Floyd's murder, and we're dealing with Black people matter and that kind of thing, Black lives matter. Yeah, there are Black people in future. Lavender Freddy, just remember that. There are also, I mean, I don't know, there are certain kind of archives that are display archives. I guess social media is a display kind of archive as well, but
I found
in
him.
as much it did, right, in as much as it is a document, it's also a show. So even though you can put a lot of people put a lot of unfinished kind of ideas there, it wouldn't be the place to put ideas that you really want to work on unless you're trying to
Right. Because nobody can
crowdsource.
use them. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But I find sometimes I spend so much time on that kind of archive and looking at other people's archiving of their own daily lives that I don't actually focus on really doing the archiving of my own the ideas and that sort of thing.
And it's so funny because I mean, what was it? Last semester I taught this class called recital preparation. And it's supposed to be the singers who are going to create a recital, which is very similar to what I was doing with Edna with the final year show. But there's more to work with these because they have to do these charts, and they have to, and so it's actually fun because helping them to organize themselves and organize charts and keys and those things and keeping it on a drive and somewhere where they can easily send it to a band and that kind of stuff. The ideas that were coming up while I was working with them, and so it'll make their life easier in the long run. And I can use those same things I was telling them to do for myself.
For yourself, yeah.
Time, but I can use the same thing. It's similar with the field recordings that I'm in possession of. I'd asked the library here about some kind of system for cataloging those things and to be able to like a database, create a database with it, whether it's from lyric or genre style or whatever. And there's a way they could do it, but but I don't feel that it's because it's something that's from Edna. I feel I need to include Edna. Of course,
yeah, that's
Edna, and then there's an issue. So so then I just have to find a way to do it for myself personally. That won't be, but it would have been a nice collaborative thing between Edna and Berkeley. And that would serve Jamaica and all Jamaicans. I don't have access, but whatever. I'll find a way to do it for myself.
Yeah, I think there are systems too. I can't remember the name now, but I know there are some. It's particular for visual artists, but it doesn't have to be, because that's where I got the idea for the table from. Oh gosh, I wish I could remember the name. Anyway, if I do, you can put it in the show notes.
Okay.
They have a system, a software that you can buy that helps you organize, label, categorize, give inventory number for your body of work. And I think maybe also helps you put it on, do they have a website as well? So if you want to do a virtual gallery or something like that, then you have all that information there. So there are some systems out there. That one is not free, but there are people who's like the love of their life is organizing and archiving. And I'm sure if you speak just like the library where you are, they can tell you about how best to do.
Because what I wanted was something where I could go to a page for this thing and it has some words, and I can also and there's a link to the document with the lyrics written out, but there's also a link to the file, and there's the historical stuff or when it was recorded, who recorded it.
That sounds like even you need a museum person, even more so than a library person.
But if it's for me, I need something that I can afford. If it's not going to be a bigger project, that's be something that I can finagle somehow to work for me.
Funding must be there for that too.
Maybe.
I'm sure funding will be there.
I travel with those all those recordings because you never know what's going to happen with them wherever they are. Because
that's treasures,
Yeah, exactly.
Those are treasures. Yeah, I mean, we already. I don't know. I guess you know what it is. Ooh, I get in a word. So like, that's my life. In choreography, And my good friend, choreographer extraordinaire O'Neill Price always says it. You must exhaust the possibilities, right? You have one motif movement. You don't need more than the one motif movement necessarily if you're skillful enough to make 20 minutes of choreography, right?
Mhm.
Exhaust the possibilities. I think sometimes we forget to exhaust our possibilities. And because we're so good, okay, I'm talking about myself, because we're so good generating, and generating feels nice. And sometimes generating feels like a complete act in and of itself, So it almost feels like you've already done it because you've generated it and you've seen it, so you just kind of put it down. But we ourselves are worth the investigation. Like we are our long-term career, right? So even though we are out there doing this for other persons and producing and generating new ideas, there is value in figuring out how to systematize and archive and understand what we have already created in terms of that body of work. Choreographically, let's do that. How much are we exhausting our own possibilities already instead of looking for something new again? We've already done quite a bit of what it is we were going to do. There's nothing wrong with looking back at that. Not to say we can't do something new, but the new is also within us in the old, in what we've already done.
And they do
how
that
much of
in music.
Shakespeare, how much of Shakespeare is one story that he told over and over in different
Over and
ways?
over. A tragedy, a
One
comedy, a
story.
tragic comedy.
One
But that
story.
thing with the one idea and then extrapolating, they do that a lot in film music. Like they'll have the one motive and then they'll slow it down or they'll stretch it out or
Exactly.
they'll it and they'll do something, they turn it upside down, they'll different back ways, and
Yeah.
it's different moves within the whole film.
Yeah, and I can listen to an Elton John song. I know it's an Elton John song just because he has this thing that he does. It's just this thing that he does. And so, and yet there are people who want to tell you, oh, that's what like something you've done before. That look like something you've done before. I said, oh, really?
That's my signature. Yes, thank you.
Good.
Yes.
You have signatures. Nothing is wrong with having a signature.
Yeah, it's my style.
Yeah. And it's part of also this idea of disposability. That is it's larger than the arts, but it has infected the arts and particularly the physical arts. People's attention spans are shorter. Everybody's watching TikTok and doing TikTok stuff, and everything must be said in a minute. And so you don't have the kind of, I don't know, patience in your audience anymore. And maybe even patience with your own process and patience with your own work. You probably feel to be alive, you need to be just generating and generating and generating. No, you have to sit with yourself and even regurgitate.
There's other people with a hit song who do it this year and then next year say, oh, but I did it all of last year, but it's your song.
It's your song. Look at Celine. Yes, look at Celine.
It's the craziest thing, and I've heard people do that, and they think I should do this again. But I'm like,
yes,
it's what people want to hear, and if you don't do it,
if you wanted to change it up, then change it up. But whatever. But keep doing the song.
But then there are though, and I mean, I guess it's all good. There are people who have such a drastic change in who they are and what they want to experiment with. The style changes, and to those people I say run with it, because there's some people who only do the same thing over and over as a crutch. True. Not that it is really a signature to them, but it's something that worked and they're just going to keep doing it and rinsing it for all it's worth. But there are people who are true artists who get locked into like management deals or whatever that want you to stay the same, because as long as you stay the same, they keep making the money. But you want to sing about something different, right? Or write about something different.
But if I go to a Madonna concert tomorrow, I want to hear Holiday.
Yes, you do. You do.
I want to hear it. And she don't I'll be upset.
Yeah. So there is that balance that they have to keep. But I would never want somebody who wants to shift and change as they get older. To not do that.
But don't do it because you think nobody else wants to hear it, or because I've done it so many times.
Right.
The past 2 months.
No, you have to keep. That's one of the things you have to. I think keep reinventing yourself if you want to make anything in the arts a long-term career.
Absolutely. An artist must evolve. I just say it's a plant. It's a plant that's growing. So different levels. You see things at a different level. You are transforming. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes, I think we did it.
We reached that. So.
I'm kind of laid back vibe this week. We kind of Yeah.
It was nice.
Back.
It was a nice vibe. Yeah.
I'm glad for the proddings, because it's a conversation that brought certain things
Yes,
to the
Mike.
fore.
Can you come each week with a set of questions for us? I really like that.
Yes, I love Michael's questions.
Anyway.
I love Michael's questions.
Yeah.
They just
Yeah.
come up. I can't pre-plan them. They just come up.
Yeah.
So
It's
yeah.
really nice. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, so I forget, again, it's been so long. How do I end this again? Oh, the music. Wait, hold on.
Yeah, the music.
Dun, 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 taka, taka. Dun, 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 dun. Am I gonna play
Oh,
my
yeah, wait, hold on. Let me find the music. Wait.
Yeah.
I hear it. Okay.
See? No.
It's fine. Keep it. Wait, not that the other.